Hello and welcome back to Sofubi Sit Down. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a good holiday season. Today, we're going to take a look at this little dude here. The Bandai movie monster series Godzilla Maquette version. As always, please leave a like. That would be cool. I've actually had this guy since, I want to say, mid-December. Got him from Showcase by Kaiju. I think he's sold out there, but I'll check real quick. Of course, you can always get him from eBay. You can get him from Yahoo Japan. There's some other sources that you can get him from. Obviously, if you go to eBay or Yahoo Japan, you're going to have to pay the late tax on him. The question is he worth the inflated prices that he is currently going for? And that's something that we're going to look at when we review this bad boy. But before we dive into the review, let's look at the accessories. And of course, there aren't any accessories, so let's look at the history of this particular design. It is based off of the pre-production Godzilla that was designed by Taizo Toshimitsu. I hope I said that right. And Akira Watanabe. Most notably, there was a clay maquette sculpted by Toshimitsu. He actually sculpted 3 of those maquettes. One that was covered in scales, which is what this figure represents. Then there was a second one sculpted that had warty round bumps on him. And then there's the third one, which looks more like the Godzilla that we all know and love, with the more kind of alligator type skin on him, for lack of a better word. But that was the one that obviously was approved by the powers that be. However, there's always been those cool photos of this particular guy. The picture of the clay sculpt has always been out there for people to look at. It's always been a pretty cool picture, so that's where the design of this figure comes from. This isn't the first collectible based on that famous photo, that famous clay sculpt. M1 did one that's incredible. I would love to get one for my collection. I just missed out on grabbing the last one at the last G-Fest I was at, and that is one I do want to add to my collection. This one, obviously, as I said, done by Bandai. It's part of their movie monster series, and I did pick it up from Showcase by Kaiju. So, having said all that, let's take a look at this guy. And as always, let's take a look at the tag, as we always do on these Bandais. And it's pretty neat. It's got the pre-production shot there of it's like a publicity photo that they did, I guess. I've seen it before. It's pretty cool. It's of the Maquette destroying the clock tower, which obviously is not in the film. In the upper right, it's got Godzilla the Art, which is an event that was held in Japan that this figure was sold at, and I believe it was an exclusive to for a time being. Inside the card, you got your typical info in there about how you can't call customer service if you live outside Japan. Which, man, what a bummer for us outside Japan, not able to call Bandai customer service. And then on the back, your typical stuff. So all good as far as that goes. As for the figure itself, let's take a look at the head sculpt first. I think it's crazy looking. He looks like some sort of an angry, deranged gremlin or goblin monster. In the face, he's got like a sort of a pig nose. His ears are very pronounced, much more so than the finalized Godzilla looked. The ridges of his eyebrows, his head is almost like flat. His nose is considerably different than what he ultimately ended up with. All in all, though, it's a pretty neat design. The figure itself is not particularly big. He comes in just at about 5.5 inches, so not a very big figure. Sculpt wise, like I said, I like what it is. I think it's cool. Interesting that on the jaw here, it's not all one sculpted piece. So the jaw is a separate piece that is glued to the figure, and there is some glue hanging around the seams, so it's a little bit sloppy. Paint wise, the eyes, literally just a dollop of daisy on his eyes, just a little white drop on the eyes. The teeth are painted this off-white yellow color. Inside the mouth, painted red. It's all nice, looks good, no complaints. Additionally, you've got another seam where the head connects to the body, and there's some glue in that seam as well. So again, with that little bit of sloppy on the glue. Sculpt to the body, you've got the scales, which is again not the final result. This was a mock-up. This was a test figure that they did to before they designed the suit. So all the scales represented, and it's an interesting look. Again, it's a look. I'm glad they personally didn't go with it, because I like his look, the scales that they went with that we all know and love. But it is interesting. Again, only paint on the body is on the dorsals, although they are painted pretty nicely. None on the claws of either the hands or the feet. Completely unpainted there. The whole figure is sculpted in that charcoalish gray color. Tail, again, connected. And again, some paint on the seams. It's a little sloppy there, guys. The only bit of paint on the tail is this one dorsal. Everything else is unpainted. So they did not go heavy with the paintbrush on this guy. Very little paint. Yeah, and there he is. It's an interesting figure. It's an interesting showpiece. It's an interesting piece of Toho history, of Godzilla history. And I'm glad I have it. I'm glad that it's going to be displayed in my collection. Will you be glad it's displayed in your collection? I mean, that really is up to you. We can talk about that further as we get into final thoughts. But before we do that, let's do some comparisons of this guy with some other stuff. All right, so we've got the Bandai Memorial Box Godzilla 54 here. So you can see, and obviously the Bandai Memorial Box figure is not exactly a one-to-one repro of the suit, but you can see how drastically, the design of the creature changed between the clay maquette and the actual suit. Also, you can see that this figure, for a 6-inch, is it's about a ½ inch bigger. So this dude is tiny. This is a small figure, and this is how they scale from the side. So he's got a big old head. Yeah. So big difference. Big difference between the two. We got the Anguirus 55 Bandai. So there you go. There you go. And then, to show you, here I've got the Mezco, the little Mezco Godzilla. So, and there's King Seesaw. So yeah, oh, you're not gonna stand for me, huh, you little butthead? There you go. Cool. So yeah, he's tiny, man. He's tiny. Last but not least, here's how he scales with a nice cold can of Hams. The beer refreshing. He's barely bigger than a Hams. All right, final thoughts. My take on this guy is that I think I want to say I paid $70 for it. I forgot that I had pre-ordered it. When I saw Rich Iso had gotten it, I was like stunned by how small it was, and I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't buy that. And then lo and behold, I got a shipping notice from Sean like a month later that I did actually buy it. It's fine, I'm glad I have it, like I said earlier, but would I have bought it had I seen it in someone's hand? No, I probably wouldn't have. So for $30 $40, maybe. This is definitely not this is not an above $50 figure. I would not spend more than $50 on it had I not accidentally done it. But you know, knowing what I know now, I would not. Again, though, it's your money. You know, if you think it's worth it to you. To me, I would not put this as anything above a $50 figure. I think even $50 would be pushing it. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I just think, you know, for what it is, it's a bit overpriced. But it is cool. It will, you know, it is an interesting piece of, you know, kaiju history. So, you know, I don't hate it. I wouldn't spend a bunch of money on it. That's my bottom line on it. There he is with an aggregate destroyer. So yeah, that's it for this one. I got some stuff coming. I think Bagan is on the way, so we're gonna take a look at Bagan. That'll be fun. I think I have a couple other Bandais on the way, and then, you know, we'll just see. We'll see what happens. We got the whole year ahead of us. Thanks so much for watching. If you could like, if you could subscribe, you would be awesome. Also, make sure to check out Coffee and Kaiju every other Sunday. We just recorded one. You can look it up in the live section of the channel. It was me, Rich Iso, Mike Russo, and Nev from Gruesome Graphics. We discussed our favorite figures of the year and just some other random odds and ends, so check that out. Until then, see you next time. Thanks for watching.